on our screen.
Yeah, you can.
On our screen.
This is a test. This is a test. Hello, everyone. We are just a few moments away from getting started. It's 11:46 right now. We will begin our live streaming of our presentation regarding our entrance protocols for arriving onto property, as well as discussing some of our social and emotional supports for our students right at 12 o'clock. So look forward to talking with you all then. Hello, everyone. If you're joining in right now, we are about 5 minutes away from starting our town hall. Again, we're going to be discussing the entry processes in regards to how students will arrive onto our property. And then we'll also discuss our social and emotional supports that we will provide for our students throughout the remainder of the year. Again, we'll get started in approximately 5 minutes. Just wanted to stop on and say thank you for joining us today. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining in today. Today, we are going to be meeting to discuss some of our procedures for arriving onto campus. I know that drivers are interested in trying to figure out how they will enter our property and make sure that we don't traffic jam the entire area surrounding Manual High School. And so we will go through some of those processes today. And then the second half of our presentation is going to speak to our resources for social and emotional support for our students. So to get started, a couple of things is that the QR codes that are on the opening slides do lead directly to the manual question and answer Google form. I'll be monitoring that throughout the presentation, and we'll try to bring forward some of those questions towards the end. I will be focusing mainly on questions related to the presentation, which is again around the traffic flow and parking situation, and then our mental and health, social and emotional supports for our students. And of course, this entire presentation can be viewed at the bit.ly below. Feel free to put that in a browser. Of course, I will also link these in the next manual update that I send out to our parents. So that will come out on Monday. Parents and students will receive the link to this presentation to go back and review, as well as the slide deck. So again, just welcome. This is our second town hall. And again, this is technically my second live session ever. So if I come across some hiccups with technology, I apologize. I will just laugh it off and keep on going. But today we'll be focusing on school arrival and social and emotional supports. And because we are actually in the building right now, if you happen to hear the tones in the background, it is because it's technically lunch hour in the building and the tones are sounding. So students, just let that be a friendly reminder that school's about ready to start and we'll be moving from one class to another. Hopefully they won't be too distracting during our presentation. Today's team, obviously, I am Dr. Newman, the new principal here at DuPont Manual High School, but also with us is Dr. Jessica Benson, who is our 9th grade counselor, who will be speaking to the social and emotional supports a little bit later in this presentation. We also have Elise Christensen, who is our mental health counselor, who works with quite a few of our students throughout the year, and she too will serve as a co-presenter regarding the social emotional supports. And then we've also invited some of our community partner guests from Abundant Hope Counseling, that is Stacy Elms and Ronnie Treat. They are a resource to our families, and so we wanted to make sure that they were able to speak to you all about their programs that they can offer for you. But let's get right to April 5th, our arrival. So in the last town hall, I shared with you our entry kind of ports to our welcome centers. And if you look back on this map, you will see that the car riders and walkers that are coming in would go in through our entrance right here. I'm going to show you a little bit more detailed pictures of these as throughout this presentation. Any student who is needing ramp access, who happens to be a car rider, will go in through our entry way here. And then if you go over to the other side of the building, this is where our bus riders actually arrive, which is through Lee Street down First Street. And we will have all bus riders going into the large gym, along with anyone who's needing ramp access. They will go in through what we call exit or entrance 3, but then they'll walk down the hallway to the large gym. One thing that I wanted to note, that if you are a junior and an off-campus walker from the First Street side of the building, we are going to ask that you go ahead and funnel into our large gym for your welcome center. Again, so if you're a junior and you're parking back in the manufacturing district area on the street, or you're a parent who happens to drop your child off out there and they walk onto our property from the east side of our building, we're going to ask that they come in through these doors. anyone who is on the west side of the building who happens to be walking in, we're going to ask that they go through the walker car rider on the west side of our property, which is in the courtyard. And then a reminder about traffic flow. We are actually only going to be allowing entrance into our parking lot from Cardinal Street for all parents and students. This is to ensure that we are going to be able to drop off about 15 car loads at a time by having everyone open up their doors, allow their students to come out, get out of the cars, and then they will walk to the entry doors. The best way for me to describe this is think of a roller coaster. As the roller coaster arrives into its port, all of a sudden the gates go up, which your doors will open, all the students will get out safely, and then walk to the entryways, and then we are going to dismiss those 15 cars out onto 2nd Street. And couple points to note here. We are going to ask that all cars, when they exit onto 2nd Street, go all the way down 2nd Street. I do realize that there is a street right here, but given the normal traffic flow for 2nd and the number of cars we're trying to dismiss out, we are going to ask that you go all the way down 2nd Street. And then if you want to cut over to 3rd, use one of the locations farther down the road. I do apologize. I'm just asking for your assistance in this, but we want to make sure that we're able to move a lot of cars through our parking lot in order to accommodate the increased volume of car riders due to the return to school. As for Y-Pass students, you will use 2nd Street to come in just like you have in the past. And if you're a car rider dropping off a Y-Pass student who's going to start in the Y-Pass building for the day, they will actually come in and notice that they will follow the traffic pattern around our parking lot in order to have a safe drop-off zone for students. Again, think of a roller coaster. We're going to bring cars all the way up to the field hockey gates, and that could allow us to drop off around 15 cars as well in order to keep the traffic pattern moving. If you're a car rider, you will follow along this pattern and then park, if you're a senior, into your parking spot. And then please note that students that are needing to drop off instruments but need breakfast will be able to drop off at Y-Pass, and then there will be a walking path up to Manual where you will enter at the large gym and get your breakfast there. So parents, if you are going to drop off at Y-Pass and your child needs breakfast, they will actually walk along the side of the building all the way up to Y-Pass to go get breakfast. However, if you do not need breakfast, you will enter into the auditorium there and remain there for the beginning. So let's just take a little bit more of a bird's eye view or a face front view of what this looks like. So right here, this is Cardinal Boulevard. And if you are a parent or a student driver, you will actually come in from Cardinal Boulevard. If you are a senior driver and happen to have your parking spot to the left of that driveway, you will actually go ahead and turn left right there and go find your spot. If in the second picture, you'll notice that this driveway leads all the way up to our courtyard. We'll have the student drop-off zone right behind these parking spots right here, which will be filled because we'll have staff members filling them up well before parents start arriving. But if you're a senior and you park in the back lot, you will actually hang a right out of that line and go find your parking spot. All seniors, I want you to make sure you know where your parking spot is before the first day. So you have a homework assignment from myself. That is, if you're a driver and you received a parking pass, sometime between now and April 5th, you need to make a pass down to our property and take a look and find your parking spot so you know whether you will be going left or right when you arrive on your property. Now, parents, as you come up to our courtyard, you will hang left and go out towards the 2nd Street exit. Right where that blue dumpster is part of the drop-off zone as well. So we will turn cars to make sure we can get about 15 cars unloading at one time. And so we'll have a guide out there stopping you. We'll signal for everyone to get out of their car. And as soon as all the kids are away from the cars, we are going to send all 15 cars out to 2nd Street. If you are a student driver and you've parked back in those parking spaces, you will walk straight down the parking lines, and we want all students crossing traffic right here by our courtyard, so that way we can stop cars and safely get you across the parking lot. And then the next picture on the right takes a look at the entry doors. Again, here's the ramp dedicated by the Heart. If you needed to have ramp access into our building, and then everyone else will go all the way to the far end of the courtyard and enter the building. Please know that these are just a little bit closer looks at those two doors, but all of these tables out in the courtyard are going to be off limits. We simply, at the beginning of our first couple of weeks, I have to use our custodial staff to clean multiple areas throughout the building, and having access to the courtyard would be one more area right now that is very difficult to clean. And it's also one area that we are not prepared to be able to contact trace at this time. It is something that we will review as the opening weeks go by to make sure that we might be able to extend out to it. But right now, I need everyone, they'll be to know that they're going to be taped off, and we will not be allowing anyone to just stand in the courtyard before school. Everyone will enter into the building and report to the welcome centers. Now, just a recap, because I'm about ready to talk about the buses here in just a second. The bus is on this side, the east side of the building, and that is also known as Ray-Bear Boulevard. If you look on a map, it says 1st Street, but we call it Ray-Bear Boulevard here. And this is the view that you would see if you were arriving on your bus. There's a sidewalk that goes all the way down the side, east side of our building. There is a ramp access right here, and I'll show a closer picture of the door in just a second. And then what I do want all students to know is the gym entrance is way on down to the end of our building. And so you will wind up getting off the bus up closer to No Middle School and walking down our sidewalk. There will be socially distanced markings walking you all the way down, but our welcome center for bus riders is down in a large gym. And again, a little closer view of the doors. If you were to go up the ramp, you would enter into what we call entrance 3. And then here are 2 looks at the gym entrance from that side of the building. Now, one more time, here's the bird's eye view, because we're going to go to manual next. So again, you'll come in off the 2nd, turn into manual, and follow that pattern. And you would see the youth performing arts sign on your right. You would turn into the parking lot there. You will drive alongside our building, and the student drop off will basically begin all the way up by the girls lacrosse, or actually the lacrosse field. And then it will come all the way around our sidewalk. So we can get a lot of cars to unload at one time at Y-Pass. And I'm going to show you another picture of the entrance. But what I want you to know is, as you're coming in, the entrance that you will walk in is right where, I apologize, right where I just was. So you will see, as you're coming in, people welcoming you, pointing you to what you see right here, exit 7. But as I said before, parents, you're going to come in, you're going to go left up to the gates. You will follow that pattern back out. We will be dropping off students next to the gate or fence line right there, and they will safely be able to walk to our sidewalk and enter exit 7. Now, one of the requests that we're going to ask of all families is to please not arrive before 7 o'clock. If at all possible. We are going to make sure that we have staff members here and in all of our welcome centers starting at 7 o'clock. And another thing we're going to ask of you is, if at all possible, because we do know that right now we're looking at about 65% of our students returning per student group, which we anticipate about 700 students per student group. So 700 on Monday, Tuesday, approximately 700 on Thursday, Friday. About 65% are saying they're going to be car riders. So that has me quite concerned with the volume of cars that are going to be coming on property. What we're going to ask is if you are a freshman or a sophomore, to please try to time your arrival between the 7 o'clock and 7:15 window. Again, if you are a car rider and you are a freshman or sophomore, parents, please try to time your arrival between 7 and 7:15. If you are a junior and a senior, then try to time your arrival between 7:15 and 7:30. Now, I want everyone to know that we are going to monitor this entire process. And if for some reason after our opening week we have to make adjustments, I will make sure that those adjustments are clearly communicated. At the same time, we hope to make sure that we're able to flow all of our cars in and out safely, that everyone is able to make it through those entry ways and into the welcome centers quickly. But the last thing I want to say is, for the opening days, do not worry if you are tardy. Okay, do not worry if you are tardy. We will take care of you. We will get you into class. Teachers will be prepared for students arriving late. But that does lead me to what the practice is for late arrivals. So all late arrivals, what we are going to do is we are going to hold our welcome centers open all the way until 8 o'clock a.m. So if a student comes in late and they still need breakfast, we will provide them breakfast all the way until 8 o'clock, and we'll deal with it individually after 8 o'clock for breakfast. But after 8 o'clock, okay, we are going to ask everyone arrive through our front doors. Now, the parking lot right in front of our school will not be open for any parents to drop off students in the morning. At 8 o'clock, we will open that horseshoe drive in order for a parent to drop off their late child. They will come in through the front doors, and where they have traditionally gone directly to the attendance office to check in, we will have a sign-in table in the lobby where Miss Pearson, our attendance clerk, will meet you. So again, before 8 o'clock, go through the traditional entry ports that I showed you earlier to the welcome centers. After 8 o'clock, you will use the front door. Now, with all of these students here in the building and having to exit all of the students right after school. So remember, we need all students to be able to exit the building right after school in order to begin the cleaning processes for the evening. That means that we will have a lot of vehicles trying to come down onto property to pick up their child. First and foremost, I want you to know we are only going to use a single lane in the back lot. Okay, so again, we will only be using a single lane in the back lot. So if you're going to pick up, I know right now you're sitting there going, there's no way we can get enough cars into the back lot at that exact time. Pardon me, my light likes to turn off here. I was hoping that wouldn't happen, but it did. So at 2:20, the bell will be dismissed. Students will start getting in cars, and then cars will continue to drive off. We will have 2nd Street available for parents to be able to pick up in the afternoon. However, we cannot allow them to block traffic as we just send cars out onto 2nd out of our parking lot. But one thing that's going to be different this year, and you might want to time your arrival to be able to do this, is at 2:35, as soon as our buses release off of Raybear Drive, we are going to open up Raybear northbound only, which means off of Cardinal onto Raybear or 1st Street. And you can then start to park alongside our athletic facility in order to pick up your child. So that can be a meeting area as well. I do know that there are some parking spots all the way out on Brook Street / 1st Street out here. And of course, if you decide that you want your child to meet you, right off of property in the manufacturing area, that is obviously got to be your choice. But in regards to pickup on the manual side of the building, again, we have to make sure teachers are able to dismiss out of this lot, that seniors are able to dismiss out of this lot. So we're only going to allow one line of traffic through here, but at 2:35, we'll open northbound on Raybear in order to allow cars to start to drive up. Now, please keep in mind, buses are still going to come in through Lee Street and down Raybear. So we will not let anyone onto the school side of Raybear Boulevard. That has to remain open for our buses to be able to travel out. We will have staff members outside, making sure that people know, where to go. But also, please, I know sometimes people like to go a little fast down Raybear because it's a nice open road. There will be student athletes crossing from our building onto these properties. I need you to be mindful of that as you come onto that drive. And athletes, please be careful. We'll look both ways before you step to cross the street, but we'll have some dedicated areas for you to walk across to make sure that we can stop traffic for you. And then YPass will follow the exact same pattern in the morning, where you'll be able to come in off of 2nd Street. Again, we'll have the pickup zone right in that area, and then traffic pattern can also flow out back to 2nd Street. If you're a manual student and parents, if you realize that Cardinal is a little too long, you can also utilize the YPass area to pick up. And students can walk down the side of the building and have a waiting zone right here if that's where you want to pick them up as well. So again, we're going to monitor this, and if we have to make any changes, I will make sure to communicate with you. All right, so that is it regarding the transportation. I will put those pictures, not all of them, but I will put the bird's eye pictures in the upcoming manual update. And of course, this slideshow will be linked, and this presentation will be linked in the manual update. We'll make sure that you all have this information and you see it frequently to be prepared for the first day of school. And now we're going to change gears a little bit. And I want to acknowledge that given the fact that we had to go back to school in a hybrid schedule, where we also had to accommodate all of the virtual students, we had to make a very difficult decision regarding our Crimson Hour and our mindfulness days. Unfortunately, in order to accommodate all of the virtual learners who would like to remain home, we had to utilize Wednesday as an instructional day. And so I need everyone to know I greatly value social and emotional supports. And you're going to see a lot of that develop even more than where we are right now over the years to come. So having to cancel that was very hard, but that is why I went to Dr. Benson and asked her, I said, look, we need to be able to make sure parents and students know what resources we have and how to access them. And so we're going to do a presentation on them today, but then we're going to be sending out links to these resources through a newsletter from the counseling office, which is a different one than the traditional newsletter that really lets you see what the return to school resources look like. And so with us now is Dr. Benson. And Dr. Benson, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Newman, and good afternoon to the Manual community. I'm Dr. Benson. I'm new to Manual, and I'm really excited to work with everyone. As we talk about our social emotional supports that we're going to offer, first I want to acknowledge the fact that as we prepare to return to school, that many students have been in very stressful situations, and they've had to endure lots of uncertainty, and now we're going to be going through a school transition. We know students have missed structure and routines, and we offer lots of resources and supports at school, and we want you all to know that we plan to offer these services as soon as we transition back to school, and with some students as they continue to work virtually. And we're going to do that through spring break, and then we're going to continue to do that in the fall. So before we get into the direct social emotional supports, we wanted to give parents and students some suggestions for reopening so that students have a smooth transition. First, begin adjusting student routines at home. That includes different sleep schedules, making sure that students are on a schedule to help them prepare for school and different work schedules that they might have, as well as free time, making sure that you're organizing or reorganizing for changes that will occur as we transition back. Please review ahead of time all the school generated materials regarding transportation and the daily expectations. Dr. Newman just covered a lot of information, and he did as well last week during the town hall. So we just want to make sure you all look at those things ahead of time so you know what to be prepared for. And last, students and parents, make sure that you're practicing self-advocacy. We need to know if you need help or you need resources. So please contact school staff if there's anything that you need as we go through this transition. So as far as our school-wide supports for mental health, we have things that we are going to implement in groups and in our classrooms that include school-wide mental health lessons that teachers will provide for students on a consistent basis, as well as check-ins for students. And what that means is we will give students an opportunity to let us know how they are doing emotionally so that we can provide them supports as needed. Our school counselors, as well as our mental health counselor, are going to be providing classroom instruction. So that's instructions coming directly from a counseling staff member to make sure students have coping skills. And we also are going to be providing stress kits and special programs like Stress Less Week and very targeted social and emotional learning lessons for students as different situations may arise that need intervention for them. All right, our continued school-wide supports also include individual help. So if a student needs individual support, our school counselors are going to be accessible. We're going to make sure that by posting QR codes in our classrooms and our hallways and different areas so that students can fill out a counselor request form and get an appointment set up as soon as possible. Our school counselors are going to be providing brief counseling just to make sure that students have supports as stressors come along with school. We also are going to have opportunities for longer term therapeutic services through our mental health counselor. She's going to speak in just a minute. And also we have some outside community therapists that are going to provide supports as well. And we are always available to provide crisis intervention. So if there are any crises that your family is experiencing, we also can provide supports and referrals in that area. As far as resources that you all can take advantage of anytime, we have updated our mental health resources on our DuPont Manual Counseling website. And as Dr. Newman mentioned earlier, we are going to send out a mental health specific newsletter with the tips we've talked about today and very specific information on how to make a smooth transition to school and how to access all the supports that I've outlined. Last but not least, how to access your school counselor. First, we want everyone to know that if a student is experiencing an emotional crisis, which means they can't gather themselves emotionally so they can participate in class, they're overwhelmed or they need a break. If they are in school, the teacher will send the student directly to the counseling office to get supports. For our virtual students, we are going to make sure that they know how to contact a trusted adult, or they can use a crisis hotline that we will make sure that they know how to access. For any non-emergent issues that are counseling related, again, students can complete a counselor request form very easily through a Google form. They can set up an appointment, and we, again, will have those posted in various places around the school so that students can set up an appointment as needed, and they can also utilize our counseling website to access that same Google request. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to our mental health counselor. Her name is Miss Elise Christensen.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad you could join us this afternoon. I am, like Dr. Benson said, I'm the mental health practitioner here at Manual. This is actually my second year, so I'm still learning, but kind of getting adjusted to things. What I wanted to go over today is just some information to help you as a parent or as a student determine whether or not you might benefit from some longer term therapy services. And then I'll also go over some of those resources with you that we'll be providing at school. So while I go over these next few slides, I want you to remember that these are just some warning signs. This does not encompass every mental health illness, and not all of these things, when standing alone, mean that somebody needs therapy. When we look at these things, look at these different behaviors, what I want you guys to think about is, are these a behavior you've seen once or twice, or is this something that is consistently getting worse with time? That can help you determine whether or not therapy might be beneficial for you or your student. And Laura, so I'm just going to go through these lists with you. So the first, on this first page, it talks about excessive worry or fear. If your child is feeling excessively sad, having difficulty concentrating or learning, that is something I've seen quite frequently during NTI. And I'm hoping it'll get better with some more live classes, but I do know that that's been a struggle for a lot of our students. You also want to look for prolonged or really strong feelings of irritability or anger with your student. If you notice your child is avoiding their friends or different social activities, again, not related to social distancing, but more so a personal avoidance, a choice to isolate. Any major changes in sleep habits, changes in energy level, differences in their eating habits. Perhaps they're eating a lot more, maybe they're not eating as much as you normally have observed them. Or if they have frequent complaints of physical ailments, sometimes children who are experiencing mental health struggles also kind of show those through some physical things, like maybe headaches or stomach aches, things like that. Anytime there's any substance abuse or usage, any risky behaviors, maybe running away from home or not staying in contact like they used to, the inability to carry out their daily activities or handle problems or stress, any changes in school performance. So again, I think some students we've seen kind of lower grades sometimes than maybe our students are used to. Again, we want to look and see, are those kind of getting worse and worse and worse, or are they staying pretty stagnant? So again, just remember, these are some signs, and you want to look at, are these signs worsening over time? It can be a really hard decision to determine as a parent if your child needs additional therapy services or not. And I just want you to know that that's part of what I do at the school. Is you are always welcome to email me or contact me and just kind of discuss with me what's going on to kind of determine what your child maybe needs. So I'm going to talk now about how to access me at school. There will be, I will be on the same Google form as your counselors. So Dr. Benson talked about how to access that. I will be on that same form. It will be available on the counseling website. That way parents can access it as well as students. And then students can access it either from the website or those QR codes we talked about in the hallway, et cetera. That's for the non-emergency counseling needs. Now, as far as crisis services, I will be in the building as students, if teachers do send students down to the counseling office, I will be part of that team to kind of help de-escalate and see what resources are needed at that time. So that is how you access me. Parents, you can always reach out to me via email too if you just wanted to kind of ask me some individual questions. I do want to introduce Abundant Hope. They are an agency here in Louisville that I have been collaborating with since last school year. We kind of just started collaborating together right before COVID hit. And so they're going to talk to you a little bit about their services, but just know that in terms of the school, the counselors and I can make the referral to this service for you and help you with that, or you can also contact them directly. But I'm going to let, we have Stacy Elms and Ronnie Treat here. Stacy is the co-owner and Ronnie Treat is the therapist that has been assigned to sort of help out with our school specifically. And so they're going to talk a little bit about their services and give you a better idea of how they function and what they offer.
Okay. Thank you, Elise, and thank you for inviting us here today. We look forward to getting to partner with Manual and the students and families there. We're very excited to be adding extra support to you guys. Of course, mental health is always important to us. That's what we do. But right now, it's of utmost importance because, as we all know, dealing with COVID and other current events that are, currently going on, there's a lot of mental health issues that need to be addressed. And our kids definitely are going to need help with that. And we need to be watching for that and making sure everybody's getting the assistance they need. And so we're very much looking forward to being able to help provide that support. Our company, we provide therapy services. We do in-person, while our in-person has gone more recently to telehealth due to COVID. We're slowly starting to get back into doing more in-person stuff as people are getting vaccinated and we're hopefully nearing the end of COVID and we're able to do more in-person, but we provide in-person services, school-based. We have in-office, and then we also provide telehealth as well. We have many therapists, but of course for you guys, Ronnie Treat is going to be our therapist that's going to be working specifically with Manual students, which he's great. You guys are going to love him. I want to mention that we also have case management services. So if you get linked with our company and you are doing therapy and it's, decided that we feel like case management would be a good fit and you meet criteria for that, then we can also assign a case manager. And case managers are great because they also will help link to other resources in the community that may be helpful with different things that you have going on in your life. So it's just an additional resource, just an additional support to help. So those are two great services that we offer. We do have a nurse practitioner who provides medication management. However, she is currently full. So we are not able to take new patients for that. But again, that's something that if that is something that's appropriate for you, then we can make those referrals and help get those things lined up as well. So as Elise mentioned, to get referred to us, if you were interested in services through us, you can do that many ways. So of course, like she said, you can contact your counseling office and they can help assist make a referral. So that way you're going through them and they're aware that you're getting that support. Or also maybe you initially go to counseling, the office, to get counseling through the school, and maybe they determine that they think our services could be beneficial for you, and then they can make the referral that way. Or you guys can reach out to us on our website, abundanthopecounseling.net. There's a contact us page on there. So you can also send us an email there that way and let us know you're interested in services and we'll reach back out to you. Or you can give us a call. So any of those options are great ways to get in touch with us and ask any questions if you have questions about anything that we offer and you want to get the process started. That's about all I have in terms of going over our services. Again, we very much look forward to working with you guys and being
Well, it actually looks like Miss Elms has frozen up, but Mr. Treat, if you wouldn't mind just saying a word or two, that way people can see you. Only one person shows up at a time. If you'd like to just welcome or say a words of welcome real quick.
Thank you all for having me. Again, my name is Ronnie Treat. One of the most important things I do want to mention is that I will make my contact information available. That way, if there's any questions or we need any additional information, once the meeting concludes, you all will have access.
All right, sir. Well, thank you all very much. We will entertain a couple questions for a little bit. And I see that one of our parents has asked, how early can parents drop children off at Manual in the morning? Ideally, we would like students here no earlier than 7 o'clock. We will have staff members arriving and staffing the Welcome Center starting at 6:50. So that gives us a chance to get settled and be prepared for checking in students. Another question. is my child is a freshman. The first class of the first day is at YPass. Should they be dropped off there on the first day or at Manual? So the question about dropping off at YPass really comes down to the decision, do you need breakfast? If you need breakfast, then we are only offering breakfast services at Manual. But one of the things I also want to note is wherever you do drop your child off on the first day is the same place that we would like for you to continue to drop off, because we will have assigned seats for the remainder of the year. And again, we'll have plenty of time for students to move between the two buildings. So if, let's just say in this case, their red day is at Manual to start, still have them report to the YPass auditorium, and then we'll give them time to leave there and walk down to Manual. The reason for that is for contact tracing purposes. The less moves that we have, the less variables or the exponential factor of how many students that we could possibly have to contact trace back to. So please keep that in mind. Another question, and Ms. Benson, this will go to you or Ms. Elise, is what is a mental wellness check?
A mental wellness check-in is just where teachers will provide a short lesson to talk about what mental wellness is. And at the end of it, it will give students the opportunity to fill out a Google form and request additional services if they need it. And we plan on teachers doing that periodically, but consistently as we return to school, so we can keep our finger on the pulse of the social emotional needs of our students.
Thank you. Another great question is, at the last town hall, it was mentioned that students would scan a QR code when they arrive each day or go to the bathroom. Do they have a QR code assigned to them, or do they just need a QR code reader on their phone to scan a QR code that will be displayed? So to answer that question, every student has actually now been assigned a QR code, and we have an ID for them that will go along with their student ID. We are working out the final logistics on offering an opportunity for students to come by and pick up their ID and their QR code. And if for some reason you're not able to get here to get it, we will have a plan to get them to you when you arrive in the morning. But it will start with paper contact tracing on the first day for those that do not get it before they arrive. But there will be an ID, but then you'll get a second card that has your QR code. That is for the adults to scan, just to acknowledge that you've come into the building and into a welcome center. So you do not have to do anything upon arrival other than show your QR code. Now, during the day, there will be QR codes inside each classroom for restroom usage. So if you're on a third floor and you have to go use the restroom, which we've asked you to do during class time, you will actually scan that QR code yourself with your own phone. Right now, the technology is at the level at which if you opened up your camera and held it in front of a QR code, it will ask you to go to a link, and it will take you to the Google form to log out or to check out to go to the restroom. But if you do not have a device to be able to scan a QR code, there will be a paper sign out form available for you. The QR code is just more digital. It allows us to contact trace faster. But at the same time, we have a plan in place if in the event that someone cannot or does not have a device to be able to QR code out. That QR code also will get you, there'll be a QR code for offices when you are checking in. And as Dr. Benson mentioned, there'll be a QR code to be able to get access to the counselors. Basically, a QR code takes you to a Google form where you fill out your information, and then someone is on the backside reviewing it coming in, just like I'm doing for these questions right now. Great question. Will there be a walkthrough before school starts for freshmen since they have not been in the building this year? We literally are getting information minute by minute sometimes. And at the last town hall, I had said that there unfortunately was not going to be an opportunity. However, this past week, I was given the opportunity to present a proposal to do it. That proposal is still in proposal form. And as soon as we get the approval to do it, I will communicate that out and offer the times in which we can offer a walkthrough of the building. So as of this moment in time, the answer is no. We have a plan in place to accommodate a freshman kind of orientation on the first day, where they will not be released to their classes at first. Instead, we're going to keep all freshmen in the welcome centers in order to talk with them for a minute and then release them without other students in the hallway to be able to find their classes. But if we get the approval of a walking tour, which is what we've proposed, I will communicate with all families immediately, so that way you can put it on your calendar to join us. All right, so my child will need to drop off an instrument one of his 2 days, and he will drive himself. So on white days, can he drop his instrument at YPass? And then, and I do apologize, I've got to wrap this text. That's a pretty long statement here. So can he drop his instrument at YPass and then go to manual? His first block is not at YPass. Yes. So they are going to be able to come in. They'll just be temperature checked twice. That's the only downside to this, is that when they get to YPass and they have an instrument with them, whether they were dropped off in the car line or they parked at manual and they had to walk all the way down to YPass to drop it off, they will be temperature checked in. They will be directed to their room to be able to drop off their instrument. Then they will exit YPass and walk back to manual for breakfast. However, if they do not need breakfast, instead of having to immediately walk back, they will talk with the person at the table, and then they can wait in the welcome center at YPass. And as we open up to dismiss at 7:25 to start beginning our walks to classes, they could then leave the YPass auditorium and walk back. So just know that that is available. And then will returning students use last year's YPass? I'm going to assume that that was a parking tag. And the answer is no. We have new parking tags. There was a Google form that was sent out in the senior level Google classrooms. You can still fill that out to request a parking tag, but that is unfortunately, they get replaced every year. We have new colors. I do see one other question is, will all student drivers be allowed to drive onto property and park? So unfortunately, there are almost 500 seniors. And if you assume that many of them drive, like let's just say 400 drive, we still only have 150 parking spots on Manual's property. Parking is what I have found is a very, very difficult system here and a precious commodity. What we were able to do was open up a lottery for student group A and student group B, but we anticipate all of our parking spots and parking tags will still be accommodated by seniors only. So juniors, you are still left to park off of property. In the event that when week one goes by and we see that we have vacant spots, we will offer a lottery for juniors. But I'm going to be very upfront with you. I do not anticipate that happening. Okay. With only about 150 spots, that means only 300 seniors can park. Those will be accommodated. Those will be taken up. And we'll return that. The question really was, thank you for resubmitting it. Will returning students use last year's IDs? So no, we have brand new IDs printed for everyone for this year. And we are putting together a pickup process where you can get both the QR ID and your ID. We're looking at sending out information in an update, hopefully either this evening or tomorrow. I'm waiting on our proposal for the freshman walkthrough to not bombard all parents with an email every day. But I'm hoping to be able to send out information that we will do an ID pickup, just like a textbook pickup, at the end of next week with makeup days during spring break, and because I will be here and we'll work with a makeup day. But we do want to try to get all IDs out before school starts, so you have them before walking in. However, in the event that you are not able to come in, please do not stress out. We will have a system in place to be able to deliver those to you on the first day of school during class. And freshmen, if we are able to do the walking tour, we are going to build in IDs for the walking tour. We do have the QR codes made for all freshmen. We just don't have your IDs made because some of the pictures, we don't have a picture, or it's a picture from 3rd grade sitting on Infinite Campus. And that can, we don't want to have anybody walking around feeling embarrassed with having a 3rd grade picture on their ID. So we will accommodate pictures in the event that we can't do the pickup before during the building, and we will communicate that to students while they're here in the building. So I want to say that actually got through all of our questions that were submitted today. So thank you all very much for submitting questions. I also want to say thank you very much to Dr. Benson and Elise Christensen for joining me today, as well as to our Abundant Hope partners with Stacey Elms and Ronnie Treat. Again, this will be available for review later. We'll post that in our manual update that comes out on Monday, as well as the slide presentation. So thank you all very much and enjoy the rest of your day.